All right, let's take you back live now to right outside the home of struggle stalwart Pravin Gordhan. We do have a reporter who's stationed outside there, Hasina, Gori, but let's just take you back through some of his achievements. We do understand that, of course, Pravin Gordhan is credited with turning around, of course, the National Tax Agency, which is the South African Revenue Services, and made it a credible as well as effective institution between 1999 to 2009. He was then finance minister until 2014 and was seen as a competent, safe pair of hands who encouraged stability as well as discipline out at the Treasury. Let's take a look at what is happening outside of his house right now. Hasina, are you there? Can you hear me? Take us through what is currently happening outside the home of Pravin Gordhan.
Good afternoon, Alicia. We are currently still outside the home, and what we're seeing now is more high-ranking officials are coming through. I want to bring in the ANC's Gauteng leader here. Thank you so much, Dike, for being here. You outside the home of Pravin Gordhan, and can you just tell us right now the sentiments you're feeling right now and from the ANC in the province?
Look, I think Pravin is a highly respected politician who has played a very important role, especially in the UDF, which is a formation that played a critical role inside the country when the ANC was banned, underground structures, mobilizing people of color, especially in the Western Cape, in Gauteng. So he played a very critical role really in mobilizing the forces within the country, and he will be really remembered for the role he would have played pre and post apartheid. The role he has played as a minister at different levels, a very critical voice, because in politics we can't all be the same. You need a person who's gonna have a critical voice, and we think that he had a very, serious IQ, very honest with his views, and he'll always be respected and remembered by people of South Africa from different walks of life.
You spoke around his different levels and roles that he played as ministries. There was some criticism during his time. He was fired at some point, recalled, brought back. You said he'll be remembered and respected. Do you think that impacted on, the way he's perceived by many?
The reality is that in life, when you work, you must be criticized, because when you play a particular role in society, don't expect it to be a bed of roses. It's not going to be like that. We'll view each other differently. People will view President Mandela differently. Even today, people have a view about a leader that would have brought the freedom, or rather, the first president of the country. As long as you are a leader, there are those who will agree with your views, there are those who will disagree with your views. But ours, as people of the African National Congress, will always respect his contribution, but also his honesty about his views on different issues, including him as a minister. There are times we agree, there are times we disagreed with him, but we respected his principle and his firmness on his views as a leader.
We are in a new disposition of our democracy, coming into a different collaborative. What are some of the terms that people can look back on Pravin Gordhan and take from him and his leadership style?
I think the fact that he was a firm believer of fighting corruption. I mean, he was a firm believer of that. He raised it sharply, and to speak truth to power. He was very firm to it, irrespective of whether it's the president of your party or not. He was a very upfront type of a leader. Disagree or agreeing with him, but he was like that. And as a leader, I guess we've learned a lot from him, and that's why we raise our views without fear of contradictions even ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily mean you won't be fired when you do that, or those who you'll agree or disagree with. But the reality is that you can't have an organization that is like robots, moved towards the... No, you need to have critical leaders and critical thinkers within the organization so that it grows, so that it's strengthened. But also, you must represent the views of the people. The people must hear that, in fact, there is somebody within that organization who's hearing what we're saying. And I guess we would have learned a lot from him as far as that is concerned.
And to the family, what's your message to them?
We would want to thank the family for borrowing us this leader, a father, a grandfather, I'm sure, an uncle, a person that they would have owned, and because of politics and serving the country and serving his people, he found himself on a daily basis on the streets. We know how it feels like. You really lose your life when you serve the people of any country, especially our country. So I want to thank them because it's not only now when there's fruits of democracy. He fought for it. He dedicated his life, 50 years of his life as a freedom fighter. And we want to thank him for that, for serving the people and fighting for freedom of this country.
Thank you so much. That was the ANC in Gauteng's leader speaking to us here outside the home of the former late statesman Pravin Gordhan, who passed on this morning at the age of 75. He passed on in his sleep, succumbing to his fight with cancer at the Mill Park Hospital, as you heard from the provincial leadership, just thanking him and thanking his family for borrowing Pravin Gordhan for his 50 years of service as a freedom fighter, not just in the dawn of the new democracy and post-94, but also ahead of that in his time at the Indian Congress and various other different branches where he had played a part really fighting for equality, for transformation in the country. He also served for a significant time at the South African Revenue Services, where he really upheld our tax services and created a world-class space that is lauded across the globe for its work, but also his work at the Finance Ministry as well as in the public service enterprises. As you heard from the ANC in Gauteng here, saying that he was criticized, and sometimes he was very critical, really fighting hard for the end of corruption, for the end of state capture. We're outside the home, and what we've been seeing throughout the day, slowly the families first coming in, really emotional. He's got 2 daughters, he's got other family members, all of them quite emotional at this time, at the passing of a loved family man, seeing many family members coming in. They've been preparing. We saw refreshments being brought in. We've seen behind those gates here, several different leaders from the African National Congress coming through. The acting spokesperson waved to us a little while ago. We saw also the president of the ANC Youth League here as well. We're told that other high-ranking officials are expected to come through. Alicia, when we spoke earlier, I described to you the security detail here, and they're still here. The police, the media contingent just outside, growing and growing as we're speaking. Quite an important person who has, come through to cover the story, but also seeing various different comrades of him, activists, people that worked with him on various different portfolios, coming through here to come and pay condolences to his family during this time, to give them support. There was a reverend as well as another religious leader who I spoke to earlier, who didn't want to speak to us on it, but said that they're here to give support to the family during this time. We're told, and we're hoping to see some other high-ranking officials. Alicia will continue to give you rolling updates as more dignitaries, as more people come through and give you more voices and hear more and get a picture of Pravin Gordhan beyond just the statesman, that an activist that we know.
Right, there is SABC News reporter right outside the home of the late minister, former minister Pravin Gordhan there. We will definitely be taking you back live there as soon as any developments become available to us.